And this has kind of been a story, at least it seems like it's going to be the trend for S15.
Yep.
Is a lot of these players who used to be, teammates at one point, they got split up, they got shuffled around. Some went outside of the Philippines, and now they're back.
Yeah.
And you just have this huge kind of mesh of history and just information from each other of playing as teammates, and then now you're across from each other.
Yep.
And one thing's for sure, especially when if you guys caught games yesterday and you saw, TLPH. Obviously, we still call them like they are one of the Titan teams. They're so strong. They have all these great, phenomenal players. But now you have that addition of, here's OHEB.
Yep.
How does he fit into that, that lineup that people were so used to seeing of TLPH and formerly Echo? But then now, I would say most people are like, man, we do miss Benny Cutie, but like OHEB seemed to fit like right there.
Yeah, the Cavalry was happy with the way they performed for their first game, absolutely. And I know it kind of feels sad, especially for fans of like the former OHEB Haji combination, their duo, their synergy, which reminds me of the way fans were this sad too when we saw Kellera and Cacto split up. It gives off that same kind of feeling, but look at Kellera now, right? Like it gives way probably for one of these two players to really shine and get his own spotlight once more.
Yeah, I feel we're gonna have to digest that a little bit here, but also we gotta ask our community out there, and you guys can go ahead and let us know which season was the first and last time until today that OHEB and Hajizi went up against each other in Mpl Ph. Now, some of you guys might know, some of the historians out there, but is it A, season 4, B, season 7, C, season 14, or D, season 11? And by the way, I'm just going to throw it out there because I don't know if they answered it. The trivia we had for you guys in the last match, for those that are joining us and were there, it was track and field. He was varsity. Luis from Smart Omega was a varsity player for track and field. Now, when are you going to get this answer? We'll give it to you next week. But you guys can let us know, is A, B, C, or D for joining us there. So, because I know we know the answer.
You just showed it.
We did. Did we?
Oh, yeah.
You have context clues.
We have context clues, Brigitte.
We didn't spell it out.
We didn't blatantly put it out there and then ask.
Okay. Never mind. just answer whatever you think is the right answer. For those fans there, they'll definitely get it right.
Fans of MB3 would know, though.
They would know. That's what I'm saying. Like, those are, there's a lot of fans out there, even the international ones that aren't necessarily here in the Philippines, that were huge fans of MV3 and just the history there between those two players. So the way that kind of unfolds in this matchup, I think, everybody has kind of had this expectation from TLPH now after what they saw yesterday. I can't wait to go ahead and digest more about Twisted Minds because, and I know in just a little bit too, we're going to have a little bit of a break here, all access here in just a bit. But the main thing for Twisted Minds is I feel like when we saw them on day one, like we were basically saying the same thing, like what is this expectation of this team? How is this going to work for them? And, being surprised at some of the shuffling around that they did too. I think for Twisted Minds in general, they had a lot to work on. Now that they're going up against a team like TLPH.
Yeah, there's such a contrast between the way TLPH was able to introduce their new lineup here in Season 15 compared to Twisted Minds and the way they play their first series, right? It was a sweep, it was a loss, and it wasn't just a loss. Like, there were many questions left for the viewers after they performed, or the way they performed for their first series.
I think for this one, too, the other thing we have to mention, because we've been talking about OHEB and Hajizi, but Outplayed and James are going up against also their former teammates from Echo TLPH. So that's again going back to history. If you've been following their journeys, they'll be heading against each other too. So there's a lot of like these rivalry matches that you want to pay attention to, and we'll dive more into it for the matchup. But first, we are going to throw it over to the All Access segment. Take a look at this.
Maraming salamat muli sa ating mga casters. We are back here at one of the player rooms and nandito ang Team Liquid Philippines. Kasama ko na naman, same guy, same interview. Pangalawang beses na to, pare. I want to know, especially with the momentum that you guys have had last game nyo yesterday, I believe it was yesterday. Ano ba sa tingin mo yung naging isa sa mga major factors kung paano nyo na ipanalo yung laban nyo kahapon?
Tingin ko feel ko kahapon lumamang din kami sa draft kahapon, tingin ko kaya parang madali yung naging flow ng laro namin.
And it was a really good win kasi nakuha nyo nga yun in dominating fashion. Now, I also want to know more about you, your perspective regarding sa yung mga kalaban na si Haji. Kasi since season 8, since season 8, magkasama na kayo sa iisang team. Pero ngayon, this will be the first time in a long while na magkakalaban kayo. I'm sure that you have your thoughts kasi andyan na siya. Nakikita mo na? Alright, Kalusi is also on the other side. Ano bang pakiramdam nun para sa'yo na magkaiba na naman kayo ng jersey?
Wala, nakakapanibago. Siyempre yan eh. Especially sa akin, blacklist lang kasi yung naging professional team ko. Tapos dito sa Mpl Ph, kaya nakapanibago din.
You're going up against him right now. You see him on your screen. Anong mensahe mo para kay GZ?
Mensahe ko kay Haji tsaka sa Twisted Minds, good luck sa inyo. Gawin natin, maganda tong laban na to.
Gagawin nilang classic to, men. I am sure of it. Kalusi, anong ganap dyan?
Kasama ko naman dito sa kabilang kampo si Head GC ng Twisted Minds. Ha, GC, kamusta ka?
Okay lang.
Okay naman, okay. Ano namang masasabi mo sa message sa'yo ni Oheb?
Good luck din, Gil. Ayun, galingan natin.
Ayun, brotherhood talaga. Okay, for the second straight time, former teammate mo na naman ang makakalaban mo. Una, sina Edward at ngayon, sina Oheb. Ano namang nasa isip mo ngayon?
Siguro, paano kami babawi. Tapos paano kami mag-improve ulit.
Okay. Tama naman yan. Bounce back lang talaga every single time. And for my last question, 2 beses pa lang kayo nagkaharap ni Oheb sa kabuuan ng liga. Twice noong season 7 at sa 2 beses na yon si Oheb ang nanalo. Sa tingin mo, Hajisi, paano ka makakabawi ngayon?
Sa ngayon, hindi ko siya goal bawian eh. Siguro goal ko lang paano namin ayusin yung gameplay namin kasi di maganda yung laro namin last match namin eh.
Okay, we are so excited to see what you have in store for us. And that's it for our All Access. And now for some twisting of the minds and riding with the cavalry, let's head back to our casters.
Thank you so much there for that all-access pass, and great to hear from Oheb and Hajizi. So for those that didn't understand, we also gave you the answer to the poll there. It was since season 7 that these two were basically headed against each other. And you heard it too there. Hajizi basically, he doesn't want to make up for it. Like, they just want to go ahead and just showcase what they have and what they can do now.
Yep, I like his mindset towards this entire situation because it reminds me of the way Aurora decided to approach their match yesterday against Sonic Philippines. I think they were very vocal about how they weren't focused on getting back at Onic or bouncing back. Because, I mean, they didn't come from a loss either, but it was really just winning and getting through what was in front of them first before anything else. And for Twisted Minds, I think they admittedly know that what they have to do first is fix the many things that have suddenly popped out during their first series.
It almost feels like, again, no pun intended, but like their own minds were twisted on the first match. So hopefully they've been able to go ahead and find those fixes for them. And it looks like for at least for game 1, the side selection is TLPH will pick blue side, which is still up to this point, I think, predominantly the higher win rate right now, I believe. So again, that should play a part into the draft here. I'd love to see what Twisted Minds can go ahead and do with those first priority picks that they get, because so far we've been seeing a lot of those jungle priorities on blue side pop up right away. But also I think one of the main focuses here, and I know we're talking about Oheb and Hajizi, and they're in different lanes, so my main thing is like, how will Outplayed be against Oheb? You know what I mean? Like, that's my big question mark there.
It feels like Outplayed isn't as much at home with his squad as Oheb is with TLPH.
Yes.
That's my observation given last night's matches and Twisted Minds in day 1.
Wow, these two players used to be teammates too just last season, so that's another thing to look at. Like, it's not just Haji and Oheb parting ways, it's also Outplayed and Oheb parting ways.
Yeah, I think I can't wait to see it unfold, but first we got to see everybody walk in on stage, including our marshals and the teams. Let's go ahead and throw them out on stage.
To oversee and uphold the tournament's integrity, guiding us through this match, our marshals, Juvin, Patrick, JJ, and Chico. the cavalry continue riding towards victory as they face familiar enemies. Heading to the front lines, it's Team Liquid Philippines. First up in EXP, it's Sanford. In the jungle, Carl Teasy. In mid, Sanji. In Rome, Daddy JP. And in gold, the Filipino sniper, Oheb. And their opponents meeting their foes head on to twist the game. It's Twisted Minds Philippines. In EXP, it's James. In the jungle, MP the King. In mid, the KDA machine, Hajizi. In Rome, Sinsui. And in gold, Outplayed. And their coaches, Coach RC and Coach Bonchan.
And there we go. Both teams are ready to rock and roll. And first, take us through Team Liquid PH, Brigida.
Team Liquid Philippines, with their performance yesterday, we're just pretty sure that they've gained a lot more fans and that a lot are believing that they can take this on as well. They feel much more flexible now, and we've seen their synergies work in as early as their first series. Oheb feels so much connected to his team, and you guys mentioned it too. He feels at home, and so does Carl Teasy with this new addition to their lineup.
The last time I saw Team Liquid, then Echo, this comfortable
Yeah.
was in Jakarta, Indonesia when they won M4. That's the last time I saw them ever go, we can actually do our thing now.
Yeah, and I think that thing is very flexible and changeable on based on the current meta that we're seeing and the picks that were coming to play here. So we'll see again if that's enough to go against the masterminds here. Twisted Minds Philippines. Leo, who do we got?
We have the same squad that played in day one. I was half expecting that maybe Escalera would be coming into play here instead of the roamer they debuted with in Sinsui. But the thing is, Twisted Minds, the question, what is their thing? We still don't know what the identity of this team is come gameplay. Like, what do they do? What do they want to do?
Yeah, I'm thinking if they were like too overwhelmed with trying to find that immediately or in as early as day number one.
Yeah.
I mean, Coach Bonchan has a reputation of trying things every now and then, right? But let's see if it's gonna work this time.
We'll see if it works, but first we got to make sure the players are working. We got to throw it over to the ping test to see how they get ready for the match.
Anong hero? Anong hero? Focus nga, tol. Focus nga. Dahil kay Sanford nilagay yung mic, pre. Hindi sa akin eh. Ford, sa'yo mga ilagay itong mic. Wait nga, pre. Isa-isa nga. Kaya ko lumamang sa'yo gamit ang Layla. Sumabay ka ngayon, pre.
Uy, Bill. Malas na, Bill. Malas na si Jan, Bill eh. Kinable sa mukha. Nakabawi.
Adelo, CR muna. Guys,
Smart.
You know, I like that we get this little preview of how our players or specific players get ready for the match. And, you know, going into it with not so seriousness because you've done all the work, leading up to this. So then you go and have this little warm-up session, little ping test, and you get ready with some fun. So starting with this, the Infinix keys to victory. Brigida, how do these teams win this matchup?
Yep, for Mpl Ph, it's pretty self-explanatory. Just ride the momentum that they're on, that they're able to introduce to us from yesterday, and keep it going, keep the synergies going. And for Twisted Minds, I think it's time they bring out a plot twist, something that'll surprise us, but not them too. Something they know how to pull off, and something that won't entirely get them uncomfortable in terms of executing their whatever approach they want to do. And for both, it's pretty much break the cycle. It's like for TLPH, solidify the idea or this strong kind of impression you're leaving us in this season. And for Twisted Minds, don't keep it going. They can't allow that similar situation we've seen them in day number 1 continue for the rest of the season, because you have to constantly adapt and evolve, and this is a really good time to do just that.
From breaking something else to now breaking the cycle for both these players that are showcased here, right? So that's something that they have to keep in mind, but definitely for TLPH, the momentum that they have from yesterday is going to be most likely apparent here. And I think, again, the plot twist, the fact that I'm kind of going to be that guy here with Sensui in game day 1 when we saw him, that was my personal plot twist. When I was like, whoa. The plot twist here is that Sensui is actually going to go in the roam, and for a lot of people that maybe don't know, Sensui was known for being a jungler, right? So we have MP in the jungle, and then we have Sensui in the roam, and this actually seemed one of the biggest disconnects from their first match this week from day 1.
Sensui is a world championship caliber jungler.
Yeah.
Went as deep as 3rd place in M5. Beat out the likes of
Just
all the best around the world. I'm just gonna say, they beat out like 13 other teams.
That's a lot of teams.
There must have been something that happened behind closed doors that made, Coach Bonchan and the rest of Twisted Mind say, Sensui, you can do this. You can be a roamer.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that right now they actually find what really works for them, or that whatever's comfortable enough for them to use. Because the way it's looking right now, Team Liquid Philippines, I wouldn't be so surprised if they decide to prioritize the Harith again for their first pick now that they're in the blue side. Given the Phovius bans and the Eve bans as well, it's looking like a very likely possibility, but I feel like Twisted Minds could also see that coming.
Yeah, not only that too, but it's, again, depending on how that first phase goes, there's the Harith ban, by the way. So it's actually TLPH that takes this Harith out. So part of this is, like I was saying, was that gold lane matchup. Being able to go ahead and knowing how well Oheb's going to be guarded and secured by this lineup from TLPH, you want to have that same thing for Outplayed. So with this, Matilda gets taken out first pick, probably leaning towards jungle pickup.
I'm thinking if it's gonna be a jungler or the
Like a Joy again.
Hui is available too.
that too.
Like I think it's a mid laner that doesn't get available often. So
There it is.
There
Brig.
they get it. Now Twisted Minds has the option of picking the jungler they like.
And Granger.
And the Granger's there. But just having the Louis, and I always think about this for both those heroes, the Chip and the Louis, they provide so much macro options for your team that you can build around that really well. There's also just a whole lot of kind of early damage that comes from this Louis pick.
And JP used the chip pretty well.
Exactly.
And the last time we saw him use it. Oh, but they go for the Gatot Kacha instead.
Oh, Suyo.
And the Suyo. So is it going to be the Granger immediately picked up here for Team Liquid Philippines? That seems possible. Alongside that, they probably... Hold on. That's the Granger, okay. And they will be getting the Joy, so they won't get limited in terms of options anymore. Okay. Does Hajizi decide to get a hero here?
How often you get a Loyi, Granger, and Joy together?
No, not often.
This is... I can't remember the last time we've seen
When I see
all
this,
3.
I think of Big Damn. There's so
That's
much
it.
early game damage
it's
here too.
all core. This is the planking of drafts.
It is.
This seems so hard to fight up against. I mean, they have the Suyo. In terms of objectives, they probably can be a little bit more confident. Oh, but they go for the Moskov instead of the Irithel. At least they also have some sort of global presence to match with the Lu Yi on the other side, and they limit the additional global presence that they could potentially use by taking out the chip as well. But for Twisted Minds, they're still lacking a mid laner and an XP laner, so there's a Batandi taken out. For Hajizi, I'm wondering if they're ever going to consider the Fire Mist. It's a nice answer to the Louis, the
Yeah.
potential diversion plays, and I think it could help outplay a lot if they want to play around him later on.
Yeah, they're gonna want to play around outplay, but like part of that equation is really just making sure that he doesn't have a bad early game. You know, that he's not just trying to basically survive the whole time.
Yep.
Because, like Leo mentioned, like I mean, these first 3 picks too, you can just dive under a turret pretty well, or at least use the diversion to your advantage in a lot of your choices and getting to those side lanes if you
wait.
want.
Hold up.
That's Perks.
This young man looks
That is-
familiar.
Wait, is he Perks?
That is Perks.
That is Perks.
That's the former teammate of both Oheb and Haji.
Wow. So we got all of them together right here. I think I've seen a lot more other familiar faces and supporters. Oh, I see another one.
That's another familiar face.
I see another one. Oh, they go for a Selena. I mean, same concept as the Navaria, which was previously banned out.
After that patch, it was Selena that helped usher in
Yeah.
Gatot Kacha once more to the meta. So their slows and their stuns helped each other find big wins in fights. So I understand where Twisted Mind's coming from
The
here.
Abyssal AOG.
Yeah.
They just keep throwing their skills towards their opponents. For Team Liquid Philippines, they're still looking for an XP laner. I'm wondering if they're going to pick up the CC.
Yeah, but you don't know still what you're facing off against.
Yeah, but that's the problem.
They protected James' hero very well compared to when they debuted in day one. They were all like, Hilda again.
Hilda.
Yeah, the Lucas is there too. Oh, it's a Cho for
Cho and
JD
Hilda.
and the Hilda.
It's a flex!
It's a flex.
Well, I think safer than any other XP laner that could possibly come out there. So James secures the Lucas instead for themselves. Okay, this is looking pretty aggressive.
The Lucas wins against the Hilda. So they're saying, Daddy JB, you better make the call now. Because either way they lose. You put the Hilda in the roam,
Yeah.
that's less than ideal. You put the Hilda in the XP, lose to the Lucas.
Yep. I don't know. I think. Yeah, I just think Twisted Minds, like, this is kind of what they needed. I know the lineup's interesting here to see how they executed, though, but again, I almost just expect them, even if there's some glimpse of experimentation with this, like, just, it's in a way for them to make things up from their first match of the week, but also bring something like this to the table and see if it works out. Again, with Hajizi being the one to play the Selena, who is also a prominent Selena player, even in the past, or even just give vision with the traps.
Welcome
That's
to
great
Mobile
for them.
Legends.
So, we'll see if they execute it. We're going to be jumping into Minds learned from day one, or will Mpl Ph stampede over after a dominant win yesterday? That's what we're going to find out.
Yep, our Team Liquid Philippines going to fight them head on, knowing their capabilities this early, or will they be a little bit more avoidant because it's